Each season, we look for a way of making each of the episodes, and especially the first episode, a little bit different. And I come up with a plan of what we're going to do for that year. One thing that we decided that was going to happen this year is that Walt was going to go to a very dark place. And so I really wanted to start off the season with everything in this very dark tonality. So I left very few lights on. And if you're familiar with the show, you know that the drying bin for the crystal meth puts out a blue light. It's been something that's a nice contrast to all the red in that lab. When they placed Walt and Jesse in the chairs near that, I actually had them move just a little bit closer to it and decided that I was going to light them completely with this blue light that was coming out. It was also a good way to isolate the light, because what I could do then was create a very dark overall feeling, but yet we'd be able to see them. One thing that I do as a cinematographer is to open up scenes with questions. When Gus comes in and he walks to the edge of that railing, he's not lit. It's just a shape. It's scary. Vince Gilligan, the show creator, always describes Gus as pure evil. And one of the tools that I use to help that along is to really keep him quite dark, just edge lit. We see the glint from his glasses and we know the shape of his body. The intention is to really put the fear of God into Walt and to Jesse. If you looked at it on paper, that episode was quite short. And the reason for that was to give the director of the episode a lot of cinematic freedom. And the story is told visually. Gus literally walks around in silence. In planning out that sequence, I wanted to come up with a way that was visually interesting and that we could really look at for a good 20 minutes or 30 minutes of that show. So we came up with a series of camera movements that were all very slow, very lyrical.
All right, let's talk about Gail Bedecker.
And put you into the head of the lead characters who are just sitting there waiting for something to happen. One of the hallmarks of our show is wide shots, and we use them more liberally than most television does. It puts our characters into the environments that they're living in, and as a viewer, we experience it with them. Another visual tool that we use quite a lot are unusual camera angles. Putting the camera in places where you normally wouldn't find them, or we have to go through a lot of trouble to get to. So we often have very pertinent story points, props, characters very close in the foreground, and things going on in the background, sometimes out of focus.
Without us, you have nothing.
All of that is done with the intention of taking the viewer and telling them what we think is important about the story at that time.
We're ready to go to work. We'll just pick up right where we left off.
I try not to let people notice the cinematography, the lighting, the camera angles. I want them to see it as an integrated part of the storytelling. What I want to do is I want to help the drama, help the story along, building each shot carefully so that when it's put together, the sum of the shots has a great emotional impact.
Well, get back to work.